Julian, we are live.
Okay. Hi, everyone. A very warm welcome to this session of Let Us Talk It. And we call it ZIPINAR, trying to zip in as much of information and, um, uh, you know, whatever we can get from our speakers to put in your 1 hour that we think that you want to spend with us. And we hope that it would be the one empowering hour of the whole week where something, if you take something from this hour, we think our this try of making Let Us Talk It work becomes a success. We can call it a success at the end of the year because we have been running it for last 3 years, and every time somebody we get in touch with someone, they say, oh, learned this session was amazing, or that session was amazing. So we bring in any topic which might help the community. We try to bring it in. And just as always, we have two speakers and two topics to be covered in this 1 hour. And all of you who have joined on YouTube, Facebook, we welcome you. And if you have any questions, please do join the Zoom link, and the speakers will be there to answer you right away. And an amazing thing has happened that we try to reach out to speakers. I'm in US and they are in India, and we somehow we got a hold of two speakers, and they were colleagues at the same place 10 years back. So it's a meeting point also, I can say, from now on. A very unique experience. But with that, we go on with today's topic. Very, very important, the in thing right now, the digital wave. So how are you going to surf yourself or ride the digital wave is the topic, and the digital revolution, how it is transforming the way we live, job, everything. And to speak on that, we have Rohit Adlaka, and I would say his three words that was in his profile: energy, passion, inspiration. That's all I could get from the conversation and the back and forth what we had over the past few days. So I think that's what makes Rohit. And in this evolving realm of higher consciousness, he believes that a true leader plays the infinite game, driving wellness, development, engagement, and outcomes of the people. And it's responsible for true leadership, through balancing culture and strategy. So a lot to go. I'll transfer this over to Rohit, and his achievements he can say himself. So absolute honor to have you, Rohit. Over to you.
Thanks, Julian, and to the entire team for actually inviting me. My name is Rohit, and those who are not very familiar with Hindi, my surname Adlaka literally means 50,000. So if you can only remember the richest guy speaking on stage today. I've had a very interesting journey with a company called Wipro. You may be familiar with it. And I spent more than a lifetime, 25 and a half years. I joined fresh from college, so my first job. And I've seen the company grow. In a span of 25 years, I did 16 roles. We grew the company from less than 100 million to now it's about 10 billion annualized, from 5,000 people to 210,000, the current headcount in the last quarter report. And I saw 7 CEOs in my stint. So that was a fantastic journey. When I left the company, on a lighter note, I had more CXO titles than the CEO himself. So I was the Chief Digital Officer at Wipro. I was the Chief Information Officer. And I was also driving what we call automation and AI for the company as a business unit. So a stupendous journey. A year and 5 days back, I moved out of Wipro. And I think it's been even more exciting in the last 1 year or so. I'm advising 3 companies. 2 are startups in the area of artificial intelligence. One is in cybersecurity called Zscaler, fairly well known. And a lot of personal development in terms of learning the flute, biking, cycling, and a lot more action happening in life. So without further ado, I'll talk about how to surf, like what Julian said, the digital wave. And if it's okay, I'll break down the conversation into three parts. And I would love to hear your questions, your thoughts, your suggestions on what more we can do as a team and as humans on this planet. The first pillar, which I'll talk about, is what is digital disruption all about? So people talk about the fourth industrial revolution, and the digital transformation is all about combining the three worlds that we live in: the physical world, the virtual world, and the biological world. And if I were to just step back and observe or circumspect that what is life all around us, and this entire internet revolution, this Web 3.0, which is happening around us, let's just see that in a blitzkrieg of the digital revolution, what happens in 1 internet minute. So in 1 internet minute, there are 400,000 hours of uh, Netflix streaming, which happens. In 1 internet minute, there are 41 million WhatsApp messages that are sent. In 1 internet minute, you have 320 people joining Twitter. And congratulations to the new leader who's come on board. So the whole idea is that there is so much of disruption around us. The smartphone, which has become smarter than us in many ways, has congregated 27 different devices and it's become a lifeline. And you can spend anywhere from 30 minutes to 10 hours or even more on your mobile phone, just interacting with people. And we as a human race have actually stepped away from physical touch to a virtual touch. So many of us are more comfortable in sending WhatsApp messages than actually physically meeting people. And on a lighter note, you have people getting married on Zoom nowadays. You have people breaking up through WhatsApp messages. So, life has really changed in the last few years, where this internet or the digital disruption all around us has become essential to our living beings, but also disrupting the way human race has been living for millions of years till now. So that's about the digital revolution. The second pillar I thought I'll talk about is what are the kind of technology advancements that we are seeing. And if I can take you to a peak of sci-fi movies, I'm sure all of you are very fond of it. But the first disruption that we're seeing is this entire impatience, which is especially in the millennial generation, where everyone wants speed. And there is this rollout of 5G, fifth generation telecom networks. 6G is already on its way. And 5G, when it starts giving you 20 Gbps of upload and 10 Gbps of download, which is 40 times faster than 4G. Imagine if you can actually download your favorite movie in seconds rather than waiting for hours, having your lunch, and then coming back. So the fact that network speeds are going to become tremendously faster, you can do work instantaneously. No more waiting in queue, no more circle showing that please wait while your internet connects back on itself. And this entire thought of instant gratification is becoming a reality for us. And if I were to take the network speed into the future, they've already tested 170 terabits per second speed of network. It's been done in a lab, which again theoretically means that all the content of Netflix, and I'm sure Netflix is a rage with a Squid Game and Money Heist, for a lot of people. But if you imagine that the entire content of Netflix can be downloaded in 1 minute, that's the power of network speed, which is in the horizon. So speed and impatience go hand in hand, and networks are, keeping pace with that. The second thing is what we call Internet of Behaviors. And, rather than us tracking applications, apps are tracking us. So if you were to look at a very innocuous Facebook, and you've seen it so many times that you search on a website for a ticket, and very soon on Facebook, you start getting pop-up ads because that's the main source of revenue for Google, for Facebook, and so many other people, where you start getting pop-up ads of absolutely unrelated things. which you would have surfed on the internet. And websites and apps know more about you than you know about yourself. So in terms of what you eat, because we are extremely conscious on putting up a photographs of literally eating, sleeping, meeting with friends, your entire life history is there on the internet. So what you eat, whom you meet, your friends, almost everything is available, which go more than 80% in terms of your personal data. So if there is a plethora of data on the internet, then the ability to apply analytics and correlate that to bring out your behavioral attitude and what you could potentially be doing, or forecasting what you'll be doing in the future, is a hard reality. So second big disruption that we're seeing is the internet of behavior. The third, what we are seeing is all about the human machine interface. Like I said, we have moved from physical to the virtual world. So if you're able to interact with people thousands of miles away without physically being next to them, but getting a feel and touch through a robotic arm, for example, getting the same sense of touch, the same sense of smell, the same feeling, or I would say the same sense of being with each other without physically being there, is a hard reality. And I don't know how fond you are of movies, but The Matrix, which first came in 1999, and as a family, we are watching the first three parts. The Matrix Reloaded, and The Matrix Revolutions, because we got to know that part 4 with Keanu Reeves is actually coming in. So we thought our children, let them also see. They were not even born when the movies were launched. But if you look at movies like The Matrix, if you look at the movies like The Tron, The Legacy, all of these are reality where you're living more in a virtual world than in a physical world. And our physical presence has become meaningless because ultimately we are a phone number or a SIM number or a social security number, and that's how people identify more, more and more. So this whole idea about living in the virtual world through the human machine interface is becoming a hard reality. The fourth, of course, is humans feel that they are the best things to have happened to the planet after 4 billion years of evolution. But the fact is that there are machines which are smarter than us. And there is this concept called singularity, which essentially means that machines will become smarter than humans. And this is touted to be in the year 2030, which is not too far off the horizon. But the fact is that machines in some sense are, smarter than us already. From a simple calculator, which does calculations faster than us, except for Shakuntala Devi, if you're familiar with her, who has been smartly beating the computers, during her lifetime. But if you look at it in terms of doing faster, more efficiently at a much lesser cost with an ease of use, and you have these bots which are sitting on the internet somewhere on the cloud, doing work perhaps 1,000 times more than what a human individual can do, then how do you use machines to augment your capability? And there is this human augmentation or brain augmentation, which is a reality again. So if you look at companies like Neuralink, Elon Musk voted Times Person of the Year, and his company Neuralink actually accentuates signals from the human brain, and you can actually start interacting with others through these signals. So whatever we used to see in sci-fi movies, like I said, is coming back to reality itself. Another big trend that we're seeing is in cybersecurity. How do you make the internet more secure? And we are seeing a big disruption there. So I was reading some statistics that last year alone, there were about 4,000 major cybersecurity or cyber attacks. And there are companies which have paid upwards of $50 million in terms of ransomware. But if you were to look at what we call ransomware, malware, phishing, denial of service, DOS, as people call it, not the disk operating system, before Windows. But with 4,000 major attacks last year and small, medium, large 22,000 attacks happening every day, There is a need, of course, to make the internet more secure, especially in the last year and a half where people have started working from home. And what they call the attack surface is now your laptop, your desktop, your mobile phone, because you're out of the confines of your office, which you used to work earlier. So people are now combining cyber security and blockchain. People are now using VDNs, virtual dispersive disruptive networks, which essentially breaks down packets into smaller packets, basically your traffic, and then you can analyze each and every packet if there is any jitter, and hence which means that it's been hacked. So if you look at it, massive amounts of transformation, and of course, our pet subject of cryptocurrency, using blockchain, Bitcoin, close to $1 trillion in terms of value, 14,000, maybe even more cryptocurrencies available with value of about $2.5 trillion. So this entire exciting, ultra fast, ultra secure, ultra reliable blockchain network being used for cryptocurrency, and this entire network of what we call a seamless flow of financial energy is all around us. And of course, a country like India is still going through its legislation, but that doesn't deter, because there are 10 million people already involved in cryptocurrency trading, in India itself, even though it's not regulated yet. So massive amount of disruption. And I think the key ask from each one of us is that, how do we literally cope up with so much of change happening? I was joking with someone that if you move out of, let's say, your social circle for a month and you come back actively into it, you will feel absolutely left out, because there is so much of change which has happened and life and world has actually moved on. So I don't know whether absence you'll call FOMO, fear of missing out, or now people call it JOMO, which is joy of missing out, because some people just can't cope up with this digital race which is happening, where there are apps coming up literally every day, and life is becoming more complex instead of easier. And to top it all, people are moving in from a deep skill set, which used to be called, the I model, where you are absolutely neck deep into one technology. Now people are moving into the T model, which means breadth in many and perhaps depth in very few. And it's touted that very soon people will be having 14 different skill sets, in one individual. So gone are the days where you'll stand up and say, you know what, I'm a Java programmer. You know what, I'm a finance professional. You know what, I'm a legal expert. When people start carrying in 14 different capabilities, the competition, the race to the top, the race of a survival is going to become that much, more difficult. And people are moving in from what we call fixed employment. They're actually moving into crowdsourced model in the gig economy, which essentially means that you're not wedded or assigned to one company. You can work on a shared services basis, right from 1 hour to 1 month to 1 year, and you can multiplex across, multiple companies. And in some sense, I'm already doing that, because I, laughingly call myself a CXO as a service, because I'm advising 3 companies as a CXO, but not full time with any one of them. So in some sense, I'm Generation X, but still I think I've got the bandwagon of the digital disruption, and I am part of what we call the gig economy. So that's the excitement on pillar number 2, which is fantastic changes all around us, and how do we actually cope up with it. And my third topic is that even though the virtual world is in some sense ruling the physical world or the humans, how do you make sure that the human, in terms of consciousness, in terms of individuality, is able to cope up with this fast-paced life? Because life is going to become even more strenuous. And our kids will say that you are actually in a child's play, they'll tell you as parents. And I keep laughing to myself. Our son actually invited his friends over to play, and I said, fantastic, that's good, friends should meet and they should play. And I knocked at his door and I entered, And I saw that all of four of them were sitting quietly with phones in their hand, and they were playing a game called PUBG, which is of course banned in India right now, which is Players Unknown Battlegrounds. And it's amazing that how camaraderie and how meeting and greeting has become, so virtual and so mobile oriented. So my third topic will be that how do you cope up as humans, and how do you make sure that your humanity and consciousness, still is alive. And I'll fall back on, if some of you are familiar, with the Bhagavad Gita, which is I would call a guide to life for just everyone. It's not bound by religion. It's not bound by any region or any race. But there are three tenets that the Gita talks about, which is Gyan, Karm, and Bhakti, which in English means knowledge, action, and devotion or dedication. And I feel that something which is so age old, they say that the Gita was written about 5,000 years back. But if you look back in history, it was written or spoken the first time 120 million years back. That's a separate story in terms of how, human cycle of birth and rebirth takes place. But if you come back to these three topics, and it's so relevant in today's world that Gyan or learning is so essential for us. Earlier we used to feel that we've crossed grade 12, we've crossed college, and life is full of enjoyment. My learning quotient is over, and it's now time to enjoy the rest of my life. That's absolutely not a reality in today's world. Every day, every week, every month really matters. And you are on this constant treadmill that you have to keep learning. Learning could be technology, learning could be business, learning could be experiences, learning could be people. How do you keep track and keep coping up with a treadmill which is on the fastest speed with the highest incline? That's what this life is all about, to gain the maximum experiences for your journey. So Gyan or learning is extremely essential. So whatever you are fond of, like apart from technology, I've picked up, or I'm picking up the flute, and very interestingly, I've picked up Carnatic music. So it's a very interesting mix. So I'm learning ragas. I'm learning, the Carnatic flute, which is very different from the regular flute. Just a passion that I picked up. So learning has no bounds. There is immense amount of knowledge available. The better, the faster you learn, the better it is. The second pillar, of course, is action and karma. How do you put all of this into reality? And I was reading the definition of innovation, which is actually practical implementation of ideas. Gyan is a lot about ideation. Karma is all about implementing it. So whatever you read, whatever you ideate, if you're able to practically implement it, it could be in a lab in your office, it could be on your laptop, it could be through an open source, it could be through an app that you create, it could be just an experience like companies have germinated in terms of Uber or Airbnb, which have brought two different worlds together and filled a void or a latent need which is available. So the fact that if you can practically implement what you read, what you learn, that's a fantastic combination to have. And third, of course, is how do you bring in dedication to whatever you do? The agile way of doing business, the digital way of doing business, which is succeed fast or fail fast, but keep moving on, because there is no failure, there is no success. It's just learning and experiences that you get in your life. How do you accumulate maximum experience? How do you stay connected? How do you stay collaborative with people? And how do you keep your human spirit and what they say, the soul journey alive? So that the spark, that energy, that passion, that excitement that Julian talked about in terms of adjectives, they remain throughout, and you are connected as a human race across 7.8 billion people, rather than just living as an individual all alone in your virtual world, which is what the digital revolution is all about. So Gyan, Karma, Bhakti, knowledge, action, dedication, those are the three tenets that I follow. And I hope the three pillars that I talked about in terms of digital disruption, technology transformation, and coping up with this blitzkrieg world have been useful. I know it's been a rapid fire from my side. I'll take a pause. Should there be any questions? We just have a few minutes left before Arun comes on stage. Over to you, audience.
Thank you so much, Rohit. Thank you for the knowledge you've shared regarding the digital era right now. And thank you for the inspirational message on the last part. It hits different. And from Srini said, plain amazing. Yes, indeed. Totally agree. Now we are open for questions, or if you want to communicate with Rohit regarding the topic, feel free to raise your hand or send a chat or open your mic, definitely.
Great. Seems to be smooth sailing.
Yeah, definitely. It's very clear and crisp, and no one wanted to ask. It was delivered perfectly. Thank you.
So thank you very much, friends. I hope you liked the last 30 minutes, and wishing you the very best in life. Wishing you loads of success. Hopefully you follow the mantras that I talked about. And I'll hand over the baton in very safe hands to Arun Kumar, good friend, good ex-colleague. Wish you the very best and good luck for the session, Arun. Thank you very much, friends.
Thanks, Rohit.
Thank you so much. So let me introduce you first, Dr. Arwin, and in the topic, and then we can go ahead. So the next topic for today will be digital disruption in healthcare. So of course, there are challenges and opportunities and also trends. This topic will be delivered by an accomplished executive entrepreneur with over 3 decades of international experience of achieving success in revenue, profit, and business growth for both mid-sized and large IT organizations. He is a distinguished publisher of articles like Digital Disruption Mandates Managed Services, CIO Review 2018, and more. He is the recipient of many awards like 100 HR Super Achievers. Wow. India Awards 2018 by HR World Congress, multiple BU Excellence Awards at Wipro and Camp Gemini. So we've been following Camp Gemini as well for their speakers and other topics. They really also talk great things. Now I will hand over the discussion to Dr. Arun Kumar Singh. We are privileged to have you as our speaker today. Over to you.
Thank you very much. So Rohit, you talked about digital wave, how to ride it. And it was like the skeleton given on which I'm going to build. So friends, Rohit and me have quite a lot in common. For 14 years, I worked at Wipro. And I think Rohit was there for all the 14 years. Before Wipro, I spent quite some time in US working for AT&T Bell Labs. Then I came back to India in 2000, 14 years at Wipro, then Capgemini. And also Rohit, I think we are walking the same path. About 2.5 years back, I came out of the so-called corporate world and started mentoring quite a few companies. And taking the philosophy you talked about of knowledge and karma. So, the knowledge has to be really experimented with. And that's what led me to the formation of 2 companies. So I was mentoring startups, and then I ended up creating 2 startups. One is called Cure Easy, and other one is called Adhik SciTech. Cure Easy is all about health tech. It's a health tech company. And today's topic, it also gives a glimpse of what forced me to start this company. So from Rohit's talk on riding the digital wave, and digital disruption, let's see the same things he talked about, how they have disrupted business as usual in healthcare. So we'll talk about the challenges, opportunities, and future trends. And we'll use a case study model to do that. But most important question that always comes whenever we whenever we attend a session is what is in it for me. So, this, I hope this 25-30 minutes that we are going to spend together would help answer one of these 4 questions that we have, that you may have, being where is the exciting business opportunity to fund? What are the unmet needs for a startup? Which employer to join, depending upon who are, and which healthcare stocks to pick for investment. Either all or one of these may be your questions, and I'll try to answer them. Now, let's look at some interesting data points. Need is a catalyst to disruption. We know that, right? Now, imagine a country with 1.2 million doctors. And these are registered allopathic or the regular doctors. Not only that, just to give you a comparison, in America, we have about 1.062 million, and this country has 1.255 million doctors. Not only that, it has about 0.8 million traditional medicine doctors, which in America, if you see, would be insignificant number. So in total, we are talking about 2 billion doctors. This is a fantastic number. Let's look at other folks who participate in healthcare. 3.2 million nurses, registered nurses, and about 88,000 doctors graduating every year, and about 107K nurses graduating every year. Imagine a country with such numbers. Looks fabulous, fantastic. But as we say, and of course, by now, I'm talking about India, which is the case study that I picked up, right? Devil lies in details. If we go in details, we know that India's population is about 1.399, let's say 1.4 billion. What it means, and if you compare this population with USA, here is what the numbers look like, right? You see about just a billion difference between the two countries. What it means is doctors per thousand becomes in India 0.899 and in US 3.18. Well, that was bad, but it becomes even more complex when you look at the distribution of the Indian population or demographics, right? About 27, let's say 30% people live in urban India and about 70% live in rural India. Unfortunately, if we look at the doctors' population, then out of 1.2 million, 74% live in urban India. That means they cater to about 27 to 30% of the population. 74% cater to about 27 to 30% population, and about 24, 26% cater to about 70% of the population. So you see, the 70% population is left unattended. Now, the reason I did not write India anywhere in any of these places, so we are talking about India, is because this study is very pertinent to all the developing countries around India, neighboring countries. I've studied Africa because we are also working there. My company has a branch there also. We are providing the services. It's almost the same scenario. So this demand-supply gap and asymmetry that you see is common, and in fact, at times more skewed across most developing countries. Another interesting fact is out of total expenditure on healthcare, more than 70% in these countries comes out of patients' pocket. And since we talked about rural population being underserved or grossly underserved, the interesting thing to notice is good percentage of the rural population has the capacity to pay. So it's not the question of the buying purchase power or buying capacity. It is just the problem of supply. Now, having said that, let's look at 6 macro level drivers for disruption in healthcare. So in India, and this stands true for most developing countries, growth in the middle class and a surge in per capita income. Just to give you an idea, in India, the middle class today is about 400 million people and growing at the rate of 8.5% per year. Soon, in next 3-4 years, India may have the biggest middle class population in the whole world. Now, this is one characteristic. Second is about, and this means with the increase in per capita income, which signifies middle class, there is going to be higher and much, much higher demand for healthcare. The age, the demographics is changing. About 65% people are below 35 years of age, and about 50% Indians are below 25 years of age. And this youth is becoming more health conscious and increasing the demand for healthcare services. This youth is also super consumer. That means digital native, connected, be it in village or be it in the cities, right? They want super experience. So user experience has become very important. On the other side, the older population is increasing. 60 plus years old were about 8% in 2011, and they're going to be of 16% by 2040, right? So the geriatrics becomes very important, right? Now, another important factor is about 70% of Indian women and 59% of Indian men were found to be unhealthy as per the Statica 29 survey, right? And unhealthy is a very broad based term over here, but nevertheless, they were unhealthy. Another important thing that's coming, that's evident in India and in most other developing countries, is the increase in the non-communicable disease, or NCD as is called, the burden. Earlier, it used to be communicable diseases which had the highest burden, but today about 50% of the disease burden is coming from NCD, right? And you'll see they're all related things. Middle class growth, surge in the capital per capita income is also responsible for this NCDs. So what are NCDs? They're all, you can call lifestyle diseases, cardiovascular diseases, diabetics, chronic pulmonary disease, cancer, mental health, etc., etc. This is about 50% of the disease caseload that India has today, and it's only going to increase. Of the 6.8 million deaths in 2019, about 67%, 68%, I can say, were from these NCDs. And that shows the seriousness of these diseases. And total volume, let's look at one particular disease. Total volume of diabetics in India is about 77 million. And diabetic care market is about 8.1 billion USD. Now, the interesting thing, the reason I'm giving you this data is NCDs require care apart from cure. And care is where digital technology plays a significantly important role. So imagine the huge market that we have there. Another macro level driver for disruption has been this pandemic. And I don't have to talk much, we all understand about it. And also the communicable diseases. So leaving the COVID, the dengue, hepatitis, tuberculosis, malaria, and pneumonia are still prevalent in India and most of the developing countries. The preventive care, now what has happened because of the current pandemic is that preventive care has got a huge focus as compared to cure. And again, in the preventive care, the technology plays a very, very important role. And the need for care and cure at the lowest price is a very important driver for disruption. So these were the micro level drivers. So I said 5. Sixth one is disruptive regulation. Government of India has come out with some very disruptive things. For example, National Digital Health Mission. Government of India has come out with My Health Record, a portal where all the patient records or citizens' health records could be kept, electronic health record repository. And this could be shared with all the doctors, hospitals, labs, etc., based upon the will of the patient or the citizen. Also, online provider information, all information about doctors and other health service providers is going to be online. So these are very disruptive legislations and initiatives by government. The status quo is getting questioned with that. Now, this disruption, so we talked about the huge supply-demand gap, then we are talking about the shape of demand and the macro level factors which are impacting that demand. Now, this demand, I've just captured 6, right? But here is a slide that I picked from my company's presentation. It just basically, company is called CureEasy, and we have developed this platform, CureEasy platform, that connects various healthcare service providers together. So in phases we are doing right now, patient to various suppliers are getting connected through the platform. But the point that I wanted to make here was this disruption is happening on all players, all actors who exist. The complete ecosystem is getting disrupted with digital technology. So and this includes, as I've written over here, hospitals, equipment manufacturers and rentals, generic medicine, pharma companies, finance organization, payments, home healthcare, insurance company, mobile ICUs and other services, super specialty drugs, doctors, nursing support, labs, and others. And as I said, disruption is across the ecosystem. Now, before we go into the opportunities and solutions and the trends, the challenges, to recap today, that most developing countries, and our case in point, India, faces are infrastructure, right? Our inability or unavailability or lack or shortage of infrastructure, doctors and healthcare professionals, only so many are there. Insurance, there's a very, very meager coverage. As I said, about 70% expenditure happens out of pocket. Affordability, not all can afford the healthcare that we have. And interesting enough, I must say, India, and it stands true for most developing countries, they have world-class, wherever they have hospitals and healthcare, it is world-class. It is just that the supply is short. So affordability is very important. How to reduce the cost of world-class healthcare becomes a very big question. Lack of awareness among people of the government policies and about diseases, about medicines, about everything. Lack of medical stores to procure it from, and simply physical distance. It's a huge country, and the distance between the rural and the urban presence of healthcare is pretty wide. So these are some challenges. Now, I'll jump on to what could be very interesting to the audience today is opportunities and trends, where digital disruption is playing a role, right? And I'm looking from the perspective of availability, accessibility, affordability, and quality. So first and the most important thing that a lot of companies were working on in India was electronic health records to enable value-based care. You can imagine the wonders that could be done if the patient's health records are stored in electronic form and available for various things. Government of India has come out with something called My Health Records portal, where health record of the patients in a citizen could be put up over there and made available. And this is a fantastic thing, because think what AI can do with this. And talking about that, we are moving to intelligent data capture is another very big opportunity and a trend. Variables for preventive care and non-communicable disease cure. This includes sensor, biometric, signals through various other electronic signals through various other means captured and used in a predictive manner for both care and cure. This is a big, big area. Now, smart procurement to drive cost efficiencies for small and mid-tier hospitals. This is a big thing that's coming up. Small hospitals do not have the bargaining power. So use of aggregators who take the demand, aggregate it, and then do the purchase from the suppliers. Group purchase organizations, couple of hospitals come together as a group and do the purchase. Most of the hospitals do not have data analytics to manage inventory, right? And imagine if the technology could be used technology or analytics could be used to manage inventory and put just in time orders. Now, blockchain to play a large role. This is a topic in itself. This is going to be a very big thing. If you see in the hospital or the healthcare food chain, there are a lot of document exchanges that happen, right? A lot of transactions that happen. The reliability, trustability of those documents, of those transactions are always questioned, right? And blockchain can play a significant role there. But I have to be precise looking at the time. So blockchain market is expected to grow at a CAGR of 65% from 2018 to 2025 to reach about 1.2 billion in 2025. And this is just for India I'm talking about. RPA, robotic process automation, is going to play a is playing and going to play an even more important role to improve the efficiency of the healthcare workforce, reducing cost and creating a stronger value proposition. Medical tourism, we all know about it. India is very famous for it, but imagine digital technology coming in, especially assuring quality, assuring accessibility from anywhere in the world. These were all towards the healthcare service providers. If we look at the patient itself, there are certain imperatives. But before that, another important thing that comes up is focus on the asset-light, cost-efficient, specialty healthcare models. And this is where the hospitals are becoming more of a specialist hospital instead of being a very generic, providing all the services. So from the perspective of the patient or user, telemedicine is a very big area. And this is a primary focus of my firm right now. Online pharmacy, online pathology and radiology, that is the lab services, generic drugs awareness and use. It's quite often seen that the same molecule is available for X and 10X, a branded one, or a multinational company brands it at 10X, and a generic molecule may be available at X, but patients may not be aware. So making them aware so that the cost of medicine goes down. Home healthcare services is a big area. I mean, a lot of people present in this discussion. They live in US and their parents may be, let's say, in India or some other countries, and they want to take care of him. All right. How do you monitor them? How do you make sure that when they need cure, or cure is there? When they need care is there. So home healthcare services are becoming very big. Imagine dialysis at home. Imagine chemotherapy at home. Doctor's visit at home. All this, by the way, this is another focus area of the company, my company today. This is a big focus area. AI-based direct real-time updates on patients' vital to allow for in-time medical intervention. So apart from doctors observing and taking curative action, insurance companies are very interested in things like this. Connected care. Patients have access to care in a connected and synchronized manner. So this has multiple facets. One is self-help groups, patients groups where they can talk, share their experiences, and also motivate, especially in certain diseases they have very detrimental impact on the mind. Prevention and continuous monitoring of health using apps. So today there are apps and more are coming who help people with mental challenges or psychological issues. Very popular in UK. Treatment is shifting from diagnosis to preventive. So basically I should be curative to preventive. This is a big thing happening, and curative needs that continuous monitoring. that happens, right? Diagnosis that happens. Finance, on the finance side, payments, insurance, and loans, there's a huge opportunity for transformation or any innovation on in those areas. So I've just touched upon few things. Of course, each one of them need a deeper discussion, but just some hints at, about 16 areas of healthcare where digital disruption is evident, is happening, and more is going to happen. And remember, I have not touched manufacturing, devices, etc. yet. So in summary, my favorite author, and Arthur C. Clarke, the famous science fiction writer, says the only way to discover the known is to go beyond the known, beyond the possible, and find the impossible. Right. So it's evolving. Healthcare sector is evolving. The demand is so high across the world. No country can say today that, I've got a fantastic healthcare system, nothing to change. Everywhere, the demand is so huge, so huge. Now, we also know that we have promising technologies. We have minimum viable products and proofs of concepts available. We have proven business models. We know that it's a profitable business. We have legislative support today for all these initiatives. Anything done in any country will have global ramifications, global use, global impact. And the most interesting thing coming from large organizations, we can say today, the large organizations do not have a big play. It's an equal playing field. So it's a huge, huge opportunity area for all of us to play. With that, I'll take a break. Thank you very much. And I'm open to questions. Over to you, Julian and Phil, John.
Thank you so much, Dr. Arun. That's a large amount of information you have shared within the time limit given. That's really appreciated. Thank you so much for that. Now, since you mentioned that we are open to questions, we definitely are. So anyone would like to interact, please open your mic or raise your hand so we can recognize you. So for more attendees.
Hey, it's Abhishek here, and I had something in mind that I wanted to mention. Going forward, wherein there's some kind of merger between what healthcare is and how technology will intervene. Is there a future wherein we no longer require human expertise in the field of medical, healthcare, pharma, etc., and technology completely takes over, or some kind of manual intervention will continue to hold its importance? Arun has mentioned robotic process automation, the importance of artificial intelligence, deep learning, and so on. So is there a future wherein no manual intervention will be required, or humans will continue to have an important spot?
Very good question, I would say. There is a concept being built, it's called digital twin. So we exist in our biological form, and a digital twin of us gets created. Using the devices that we have in a body, all vitals get measured and get reflected in the digital twin. Analytics AI runs on the digital twin. It predicts what may happen in the future, and corrective actions would get taken on the biological body that we have. So tomorrow, I'm not going far into the future. It's quite possible. It's quite possible that the machines will take care of all cure and care. But having said that, as of now and in the very near future, legislation does not allow, for example, in India, Medical Council of India, right? Very clearly, so legislation does not allow a machine to write a prescription. So today we, for example, in our company, we use AI to do complete diagnostics of a patient using the lab records that we have, but the prescription cannot be written. It has to be written by a doctor today. And I see this the need for a doctor continuing for at least coming 5 to 7 years, despite technology being able to predict and prescribe. I hope I answered your question, Abhishek.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel till there is till there is absolute proof that this digital twin exists, it's safer for the world to rely on human intervention. Thanks a lot for answering my question.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, for that question. Anyone would like to ask further? Or just share your insights, definitely. Are welcome.
Well, looks like a good time to call it a day. And on the dot, we'll be closing at 11:30.
Yes, definitely. So it appears that the knowledge has been directly transferred very crisp and clear. So, well, being said and done, thank you so much, speaker. So, Rohit has to leave early. Might have an urgent call, something like that. And Dr. Aaron, thank you so much for the efforts and the information you have shared to us, and for being here with the Let Us Talk It platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
And also, again, for everyone who have attended, thank you so much. See you again. The same time, the same day, every Wednesday. Next week Wednesday, same time. That will be 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. And we appreciate you all for attending, and also for who are viewing us live through Facebook and YouTube. Keep supporting, and also we will have the same wonderful sessions in the upcoming Wednesdays. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, and you take care as always.